Hey, so I saw this quote on the back of a cereal box the other day. It really spoke to me in a way. I think it was like a Bob Saget one. It was like this question, something like, what do you get when you form a band from 6 of mankind's worst mistakes and force them to play a Joe Hartman rendition of La Bamba on top of a giant birthday cake? Wii music, or as I like to call it, Maurice White's personal hell. Take name your console, slap a word on the end, boom, instant game title. These are Wii games, not to be confused with these, which are also Wii games. I'm now beginning to see the flaw in my formula. Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Wii Play, that one. Chances are, if you've ever owned a Wii, you'll have owned at least one game in the Wii series somewhere down the line. These games allowed you to step into the shoes of your me in a variety of simulation games, as it's dubbed by Wikipedia, but quite frankly, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, I've never seen anyone do this in real life before. But if anyone knows where I can do this in real life, please tell me. Games under the Wii title were very casual oriented, with games and activities simple enough for anyone to understand and control schemes easy enough for anyone to grasp, the latter of which often aim to imitate real life actions. You got an arm and a Wii remote? What's that? You someone's grandma? No, Serena Williams. For the most part, these games were essentially just collections of smaller minigames, tech demos created by various developers, which were then grouped into collections that showcase the Wii's various capabilities and peripherals. Wii Play showcased the remote's pointer functionality, Wii Sports showcased motion controls, Wii Party showed you how lonely you really are, and Wii Music was first revealed at Nintendo's E3 2008 conference, which can actually be found as an example in most dictionaries under the phrase, "I'm good, thanks."
It's called Wii Motion Plus.
My wrist lost.
This conference was notoriously bad. As per usual, basically every game that Nintendo showed off didn't work how it was meant to, and then to top it all off, they dropped this guy on us. After little drummer boy over there is done with his fit, Miyamoto emerges from the depths of hell, toots his horn, and then for the grand finale, we're treated to this display. Yeah, it's not great. Can we just talk about this guy over here on the drums? Like, he's just jamming along while the others are doing the thing, you know, despite the fact that the game's only registering 4 players and there's not even a drum in the band. This was the first look the world got at Wii Music, and honestly, I don't think we could have asked for anything better. If you ask me, the entire reveal belongs in a museum. I refuse to believe that something so confusing could not have been orchestrated. Mona Lisa. That. And before you know it, 3 months later, this monster was out onto store shelves all over the world. Store shelves which have never been the same since.
Ah, I like French food.
Now, when I first played Wii Music, I thought it was great. I could play the Animal Crossing theme song with animal noises. How is that not the greatest thing that happened in 2008? 11-year-old me lapped this garbage right up, but 11-year-old me also lapped a physical copy of Angry Birds for the PC right off the store shelves, so quite frankly, I don't think he was stable. Over the years since then, I've been exposed to just how hated this game truly is. The reviews basically invented the word mediocre, but I really shouldn't let other people's opinions change how I think about this dumpster fire. I mean, there I go again, I even mean to insult at that time. It's been about 6 or 7 years since I so much as glanced at Wii Music though, and there was a time where I did enjoy it, so maybe there's still hope? Oh, f***. This guy right here is Sebastian Chute, and fun fact, he's 5'9". Aside from always knowing exactly when to pop up to give you a good scare, this guy will act as your guide throughout the game, and what better way to start guiding than by teaching you how to play music, I think. Right off the bat, we're taught how to play the piano, guitar, trumpet, and violin. The piano and guitar are basically just 2 different ways to shake the Wii remote. The violin is the quickest way to get a hand cramp, and the trumpet... That's only 4 of the admittedly large selection of instrument types that Wii Music has to offer, however. On top of them is the flute, rapper, turntable, guiro, percussion, and yes, before you ask, the dog suit is indeed classed as percussion. There's also this whistle type, which is literally the exact same as the trumpet. But oh, and hey, this thing exists. A lot of the instrument types have pretty in-depth controls, allowing for you to change the way notes sound by holding down certain buttons while playing. It's just a shame that there's no point, because no matter what buttons you hold down, it always sounds gross. Now that we're done learning like an idiot, we can finally get around to jamming. Performing a song in this game is pretty simple. First, you pick the tune you actually want to play, as well as the setting in which you want to perform it in. A pretty fun detail if you ask me. Then, you pick your part, select an instrument, and watch as everything falls apart. After you're done creating something that even your deaf grandma couldn't listen to for more than 10 seconds, the game gets to rate your performance. Sorry, I meant you get to rate your performance, because nothing screams, I'm a musician now, more than mindless self-evaluation. And I say mindless because, let's be real, you're not going to rate your tune anything that isn't 0 or 100. I've always been convinced that the numbers 2 through 99 are a hoax anyway. Then, in what might be the best part of Wii Music, you get to make your own album cover. Position your Mii's, change the frame and background, you can actually get really creative here. In this one, I like to think that the band heard what they were making and threw themselves in the ocean to escape it. This one appears to depict some idiot about to get mugged with a jaw harp. I like this one because it looks like I'm about to get shot. Oh, and this one. Okay, so I've finished performing my first song. Let's see how it turned out. Chances are, after you've actually made your first song, you probably won't want to do it again. Not because it wasn't insanely enjoyable the first time around, but because you really aren't given a lot to work with at first. As it turns out, you actually have to unlock a large majority of the instruments and songs in Wii Music, and this is done through the Jam Mastery lessons. These lessons are essentially just a series of 11 different ways to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, in which you painfully play through each and every part of the song with various different instruments to produce different styles, such as rock, tango, electronic, or my personal favorite style, complete silence. Yeah, please do. Personally, I really like how Wii Music wants you to experiment with songs to create your original styles and whatnot. I had a go for myself and managed to create a wintry style rendition of The Locomotion, as well as a pretty fun a cappella take on the Wii Music theme, and surprisingly, I actually had a little bit of fun making them. You can actually do quite a bit with Wii Music if you really want to. Heck, there's tons of videos out there from back in the day showing off how creative you can get in terms of style. Assuming you have the patience, that is. The majority of instruments in the game are controlled by waggling the Wii remote, no surprise there, and it just doesn't work. No surprise there. Unlike playing music in real life, Wii Music doesn't have any sort of feedback as to when a note is being played or how big or small your waggle range should be to actually play said notes effectively. You swing a drumstick, you hit a drum, you swing a Wii remote, you hit air, or the TV, either works. And that's not even considering how Wii Music's controls are about as responsive as either Grandma after a Wild Night Out, or Grandma after a Wild Night Out. Sometimes, for no real reason at all, the game will just register one swing as 2 or just doesn't register a swing at all. All I wanted to do here was play the opening to Wii Sports, but clearly I'm not allowed to do that because the motion controls are too inept. It's either that or sabotage. I'm looking at you, Susie, Bob, Peter, JJ. Wii Music was released only 8 months before the Wii Motion Plus Extension 2, an add-on peripheral that plugged right into the bottom of your Wiimote, somehow magically improving the motion controls tenfold. So why didn't they just spend the time improving Wii Music's waggle controls, fully utilizing said extension baffles me. Nintendo literally revealed the Wii Motion Plus in the same E3 conference, so it's not like they didn't know it was coming. At least if they did it that way, they could have bundled it with a Wii Motion Plus and released it alongside Wii Sports Resort. It'd be doing more than it did in its current state anyway, and as I said earlier, most of the other games under the Wii branding were released to show off one of the Wii's many features, or as a way for Nintendo to break into a new genre aimed at casual players. You could argue that Wii Music was released to showcase the motion controls, and if you do, then might I suggest trying to exit. Wii Sports did this 2 years earlier, and even if we're going with the whole breaking into a new genre approach, it still doesn't make any sense. It's not a rhythm game, it's not a music composing tool. All I'm doing is waving my arm around. I'm pretty sure I can think of at least 6 alternative activities I could be doing instead, or at least I could be productive while waving my arms around. Long story short, I'm pretty sure this game invented a whole new genre, whatever this is. And I don't know a single person who would be interested in whatever this is. So from a business standpoint, I just don't understand why this game exists, and stop the clock. How'd I do? Not my best. Clearly I'm getting a bit heated, so you know what, I got an idea. Me and my sisters spent a ton of time messing around with Wii Music all those years ago, so why don't I take a trip down memory lane and see what kind of boppin' tunes we managed to whip up. Oh, La Bamba, don't mind if I do. Let's give this a whirl. Well, that's just one of many. Not every song's a banger after all. This one really isn't that bad. It gets better the longer you listen to it, I promise. We all make mistakes sometimes. This right here is the orientation video to hell. Well, I just looked through 80 plus performances, if that's what you could even call them. And suffice to say, I think I'm broken. And suffice to say, I think Custom Jam is an atrocity. Oh, but we aren't done here, because wouldn't you not, Wii Music has a few more aces up its seemingly non-existent ball-shaped sleeves. Seriously, what is that? Is he wearing gloves or is it jaundice? While the jam modes may be somewhat lacking, there's a few extra surprisingly decent little distractions on offer, and I'm not talking about the button that quits out to the Wii menu, even if that is my favorite game mode. Wii Music actually offers a handful of mini games as well as this little bad boy down here, but we'll get to him later. Open Orchestra is the first of Wii Music's minigame offerings, and oh boy, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I literally cannot escape this song. Here, you're put in charge of conducting, well, an orchestra by inputting a series of button prompts and combinations corresponding to the song's notes, tempo, and yeah, who am I kidding? You wave the Wii remote around like a maniac. This is Wii Music after all. Waving the Wii remote faster or slower will change the tempo the orchestra is playing at, and holding the A button does this. Once you reach the end of a song, you're scored based on how close to the original piece your performance was, and you know what? This is fun. Whether you're actually taking it seriously or just messing around, it's actually pretty entertaining. It's just a shame it really is only as simple as it sounds, plus there's only 5 songs to waggle along to, and even if it does end with a very satisfying rendition of the Legend of Zelda theme, it does leave a bit to be desired. Hey, fun fact though, this game was originally going to be included in Wii Play, but wouldn't you know, Nintendo loved it so much that they decided to make an entire game based around music. Open Orchestra is the reason Wii Music exists, and now I don't know how to feel. Handbell Harmony is next in line, and guess what? It's an actual rhythm game. This ain't your dad's Guitar Hero though, this is serious handbell gang business. Each player is given a set of handbells that they have to play in time with the prompts on the lower portion of the screen. Mind blown. I didn't get to try this mode out with 4 players, but I can imagine how chaotic it would be with all 4 of us trying to keep track of where we're supposed to ding, especially in the more complicated songs. I can also imagine how many skull fractures my friends would sustain. If the Wii remote was a person, it'd be that one guy who eats gum off the pavement just to show his immune system who's boss. That's how tough they are. I'm telling you, if you screw up Oh Christmas Tree with your shitty handbell coordination, you'll be feeling the full force of Tough Guy McBrickface here. I don't play around. I do appreciate the option to change the tempo and difficulty of a song before you start playing it here though. It does manage to add a little bit of extra chaos to the mix, and I am all for it, especially when you consider that, yet again, there are only 5 songs on offer. Thankfully though, the next minigame has much more than 5 levels to try. Oh wait, never mind, it's garbage. Pitch Perfect is basically a music quiz, that's it. Which me has the highest pitch, who's playing the wrong note, fix the song, recreate the harmony, it's all here, assuming your definition of all is the same exact handful of music-based questions repeated over 10 boring, uninspired levels. It's not bad per se, it's just very repetitive and not all that interesting, especially if you play all 10 levels in a row like I did. Man, does it start to show its wear then. There's only one way I can really describe Pitch Perfect, and that's with one big, resounding meh. Also, I'm pretty sure the jingle that plays every time you start a new question drove me even more crazy than Twinkle Twinkle Little Star ever did. With the minigames out of the way, there's only one more mode that Wii Music has to offer, and drumroll please, it's the drums. I mean, I'll show you this and then what? You expect something else? No, I literally showed it to you at the start of the video. It's there. You can play the drums if you have a Wii balance board synced up to your Wii. Essentially, all this mode really boils down to is a series of lessons in which this freak teaches you how to play the drums. And I actually mean teach because unlike the other garden variety lessons in this game, you can't complete them just by standing in a field in silence for 12 minutes. The controls here are pretty in-depth too. Stamping the right side of the balance board hits the bass, and the left side does the whole hi-hat deal. Controlling the rest of the kit is pretty standard. You make noise just like you do with the drum kits in jam mode, but this time around you actually have control over which notes you play. Pressing buttons on the Wii remote and nunchuck will move your Mii's hands, I think, between the other drums, and while it definitely doesn't feel quite as fluid as playing a real drum kit, the controls here are still really competent. While you probably couldn't learn how to play the drums from this mode alone, I suspect you could still get really close. The lessons here actually teach you like a real teacher would, walking you through each and every individual drum playing element, from drum posture and basic rhythms, all the way to the 16-beat and even fills. Jesus Christ, fills? Never thought I'd hear do those. I know drums, don't doubt me. I only played through a handful of lessons in my time with this mode, but to be completely honest, I might just have to return sometime soon to finish them off. I actually had a lot of fun with them, and there's plenty of content here to keep you engaged, which is more than I can say about any of the other modes in this game. There's also a free play side mode, but if you ask me, it's a little bit... Oh, and if you really want, you can take your newly acquired drumming finesse into a custom jam. It just feels really shoehorned. I mean, you don't even get that really neat drum UI, or even an option to look at the controls here. And just like this guy, I might throw up. So yeah, that's the drum mode, and also Wii Music. Is it the worst music-based game I've ever played? Yes, if only for the sole reason that Wii Music is not a game. Aside from the minigames, there's absolutely no consequence to anything you do. You're not penalized for missing a note, nor can you really. If you make a mistake, the game only auto-tunes your notes to sound semi-competent anyway. I'd be more inclined to call Wii Music an application, but even then I'm still giving it more credit than it deserves. If only this game had the option to create your own songs, then it would almost definitely be a blast. As it currently stands, however, the song selection provided isn't even that good, mainly consisting of terrible public domain tunes that developers probably had to wear a hazmat suit to program into the game. They're that toxic to listen to, as well as a handful of well-known pop songs and Nintendo bops, which is a shame because I'm pretty sure no one's out there crying themselves to sleep because they can't find a gang of cheerleaders willing to scream out a rendition of
I not play no not music.
But if that is you, Wii Music has you covered. If you can find a song you like though and put in some effort to get over the lackluster controls and make it sound decent, it can be at least a little enjoyable. But to be completely honest, I think I'd rather just learn a real instrument. I really think that the challenge of learning is half the fun of making music, so when you're given the option to do so without any sort of stakes or way to screw up, it really cheapens the satisfaction factor. So with that said, should you check out Wii Music? Why am I even asking this? Of course the answer is no. Unless you're dying to spend $15 to virtually conduct an orchestra or learn to play the drums without any of that pesky human interaction, it's probably not for you, or anyone for that matter. That being said, at least it still isn't the worst game in the Wii series. I'll give it credit for that at least. Truth be told, there were some moments outside of the extra modes where I did enjoy myself a little bit, but definitely not enough to warrant returning anytime soon. Sadly, as far as the meat and potatoes goes, Wii Music just doesn't have a lot to offer in the fun department. But it definitely has something to offer in the money department. I knew when I picked this game up for the first time, I smelt something pungent. Cold, hard cash. And you bet I'm gonna exploit it, even if it kills me. Not sure why it would, you never know. After months of production, I present to you my Wii Music debut album. Fresh from the Wii Music scene, it's Crotch Shot the Musical. With a whopping 30 tracks on offer, Sendhelp's debut album has something to offer for everyone, featuring such hits as And now, for a limited time only, purchase this album to receive a bonus series of delightfully quaint recorder covers. Wow, how whimsical. But that's not all. If you purchase the album on both iTunes and Google Play, you'll receive a bonus full audio rendering of Sendhelp's original interpretive percussion performance. High octane, high spirits. Wow, how exciting. But that's all. Simply call the number on screen now to order your copy of Crotch Shot the Musical, or go to iTunes or Google Play Music today. Crotch Shot the Musical is also available to purchase anywhere that sells music, and yes, that does include secondhand CD stores at all respectable farmers markets, and even that one store run by that old Russian woman on the edge of town that only ever seems to be open past 8 PM, you know the one. You can buy this shit anywhere. Please, buy it. We'd like your money. CDs in dying format, please. I was scared of Fox. We bought too many. Please, just buy them. We can't keep going on like this. We'll be bankrupt in a week. I've already had to lay off like so many staff. I don't even know why I had so many staff to begin with. Just buy the CD. Please, buy it. Please. Whoa, what was that all about? I don't know, it's a pretty great video though. I think I'm gonna hit the subscribe button, and you should too. I want to do a lot more content like this, so that would be the best way to make sure you don't miss any of it in the future. Anyway, I got some great stuff coming up, so until then, bye bye.